Azusa is a girl in her 20s who has dedicated her entire life to her career. One day, she ended up working herself to death. A goddess took pity on her short and miserable life, deciding to reincarnate her in another world with special abilities of her own choosing. Azusa asks only to be immortal and ageless, so she could live her new life slowly and lazily. The goddess happily obliges, giving her a youthful appearance and transporting her into a place ideal for a slow life. Azusa appears in her new body, standing in an open green field surrounded by peaceful-looking highlands. Close by, she spots a lonesome house. A sign in front of the house states it is free for anyone who wants it. Believing it was the goddess who placed it there for her, Azusa decides to move in. Taking a good look around from her new house, she can see a village in the distance. Deciding to check it out, she follows the road towards it. On the road, she is attacked by a slime, but she defeats it with ease. It becomes apparent that the highlands are full of these weak slimes. Once she arrives into the village, she learns that it is called Flata. It is a small, but pretty and peaceful village. She introduces herself to the locals, and they suggest she signs up with the Adventurers Guild. Azusa agrees and signs up with the guild in order to be able to turn in the materials she gathered from the slimes. There she is told that her job is described as a witch, and she is indeed immortal. With that, her slow life in the new world began. Her days consisted of taking it easy and killing a few slimes to make sure she had stable income from the guild. She searches the woods looking for medicinal herbs needed for medicines for her villagers. Days came and went, and eventually 300 years passed. In the town, she became famous as the Witch of the Highlands. Her medicine was in high regard, and she helped the village overcome a few crises. During a routine visit to the Adventurers Guild, she is asked to allow them to check her status again. Curious to know just how powerful she really is now, Azusa agrees, and they learn that she has maxed out her level, not to mention the powerful magic she is able to wield. Azusa is surprised by that revelation, considering she never went out to adventure. After doing some math, it becomes apparent that she became so strong because she killed a massive amount of slimes over such a long period of time. Azusa asks the lady who checked her status to keep quiet about it, stating how she just wants to live quietly, but already on the next day trouble comes her way. Adventurers appearing at her door, asking to challenge her to see who is stronger. Among such challengers, a red dragon appears as well. She obliges the red dragon and they spar. Azusa easily defeats the dragon, but in the fight, the dragon demolishes her house on accident. Azusa is furious and makes the red dragon promise to fix up the damage it caused. The dragon remains truthful to its word and returns the next day with the funds required for the repairs, albeit in its human form, appearing like a girl with red hair. She introduces herself to Azusa, stating that her name is Leica and that she wants to become Azusa's pupil, explaining how she was humbled by the defeat and wants nothing more than to learn from the witch. Azusa agrees and allows Leica to stay with her, suggesting that she should expand the house while rebuilding to make sure there is enough room for both of them. Leica happily starts working on the house, even deciding to push through the night, just to show to Azusa how dedicated she is to be her pupil. But remembering how her previous life ended from overworking herself, Azusa reprimands Leica, scolding her for not considering her own health. Leica listens and obeys, very impressed by Azusa's consideration for her pupil. After learning about Azusa's daily routines, Leica prepares food for them. Although delicious, she prepares enough to feed a large dragon. While the two of them are eating, Leica points out that the village does not have adequate defenses. In order to protect it better, Azusa erects a magical barrier around it, following Leica's guidance. They announce it to the villagers and they all celebrate, knowing that the witch is watching over them. During the announcement, Azusa introduces Leica to the villagers, who warmly welcome the dragon girl. Back home, a little girl appears at the door, introducing herself as Azusa's daughter, Falfa. Azusa is confused, considering she never gave birth. Before they can figure out more, Falfa announces that her younger sister actually wants to kill Azusa. Azusa feels completely lost with all those news. They all sit together and talk. Falfa explains how her sister Shalsha wants to kill Azusa because Azusa killed her, and that she developed a spell to specifically kill the Witch of the Highlands, but Falfa does not want for them to fight and kill each other. Shalsha appears at the house as well, and a fight breaks out between her and Azusa. That is when Azusa learns that those two girls are made up of souls of all the slimes that Azusa killed, essentially being slime spirits. Azusa tries to fight back against Shalsha, but the spell she developed completely takes away Azusa's magic. With Azusa almost being defeated, Leica jumps in. Protecting Azusa from the slime spirit girl, Leica fights back and easily defeats her. It turns out that the spell Shalsha developed only makes her strong against Azusa and no one else. After regaining consciousness, Shalsha finds herself in Azusa's house, where the witch took care of her. Shalsha is still angry at Azusa, but Azusa tells her that if her only reason to live is to get vengeance, then with her dying, Shalsha would lose her reason to live. Falfa adds that it is normal for humans and slimes to fight, asking her sister to stop holding a grudge against their mother, telling her how lucky the two of them are that they were born thanks to Azusa. Xiaoxia calms down and agrees to let go of her grudge. Azusa invites the two of them to move in and live with her and Leica, to which the two slime spirit girls gladly agree. Afterwards, they all go to the village where Azusa shows them around and introduces them to the locals as her two daughters. Back at home, Leica is cooking again, and since the household grew, the dragon portions she prepares are finally suitable. One evening, an elf girl arrives at Azusa's, asking for the witch to help her, introducing herself as Halkara the apothecary, hailing from a small nation of elves. She is seeking refuge from the demon Beelzebub, who apparently got sick after consuming an energy drink. And Beelzebub is hunting her down because she is the inventor of that energy drink. Although reluctantly, Azusa agrees to help and let Halkara stay with her. In order to be safe, Azusa erects a protective barrier around her house to ward it from evil. What they did not know is that Beelzebub already entered her house when Halkara arrived, hiding around in the form of a fly and revealing herself to Halkara and Azusa once the three of them were alone. Beelzebub is determined to take Halkara with her, but Azusa steps in, not willing to allow for her new pupil to be taken against her will. Azusa and Beelzebub step outside of the house to have a fight, but Beelzebub flies up and hits the magical barrier, the power of which knocks her out almost immediately. Azusa takes the demon into her house and heals her back to health. Once Beelzebub awakens, she explains that she just wants for Halkara to keep making more of the energy drink, since it is a beloved product among the demons. The rumor about her getting sick was because she overworked herself while drinking the energy drink, and it was not the fault of the energy drink, but her own. Halkara decides to relocate her factory into this town so she could make more energy drinks and stay together with Azusa. Beelzebub takes a liking to Azusa and her two daughters, so she decides to teach Azusa how to summon her before returning home. One day, Leica announces that she will be returning to her home in order to attend her older sister's wedding. Hearing that, everyone decides to come along for the occasion. The wedding is held in Red Dragon territory, close by a hot spring resort. As they are all exchanging pleasantries and introducing themselves to Leica's family, the Blue Dragons attack. Leica explains how the different dragon families often cause trouble for each other. With the battle between dragons raging, Azusa gets dragged into it as well. Due to the witch being so powerful, none of the blue dragons that find themselves in her way stand a chance. Even the blue dragon bully queen, Flatort, gets beaten by her quite easily. Learning that the blue dragons sent a separate unit to attack the nearby hot springs, Azusa rushes over to help. But arriving there, she sees the dragons have already been dealt with. It turns out that Beelzebub was enjoying the hot springs there as they attacked, so she took care of them. With the battle concluded, Azusa forces the blue dragons to accept a truce. The wedding proceeds as planned and everyone enjoys the festivities. After the wedding, Azusa and her friends go to the hot springs to relax and unwind. They share a wholesome moment as a big, happy family. Halkara acquires a building to start a new factory, but it is haunted by a ghost. As a result of that, none of the workers want to stay and work there. She asks Azusa to help her out, but Azusa is scared of ghosts as well. So Azusa summons Beelzebub to help her out with the ghost problem. Azusa and Halkara are behaving like scaredy cats, while Beelzebub is keeping calm. Thanks to Beelzebub, they locate the ghost, who turns out to be a girl named Rosalie. She says how she committed suicide in the house that once stood at this place, and now she is bound to this place and cannot leave it. With Beelzebub's guidance, they manage to get Rosalie to possess Halkara, believing that way she will be able to leave the building. Azusa invites Rosalie to stay in her house for now, and Rosalie happily accepts. However, Rosalie is unable to leave Halkara's body. Beelzebub explains how dangerous a long-term possession can be for Halkara, and so everyone tries to come up with ideas on how to separate the two. After a long and tiresome night, they finally manage to do it. Azusa decides to introduce Rosalie to the town people so they would not fear the ghost girl. It turns out to be a great idea, with everyone warming up to Rosalie. Beelzebub announces that Azusa has been awarded the Demon Medal of Honor thanks to her efforts in ending the conflict between the Blue and Red Dragon clans. Azusa wants everyone to come along with her, but Rosalie states that she cannot change her outfit for such an occasion since she is a ghost. After some research, Azusa uses her ability to create new magic and develops a spell that changes Rosalie's outfits. Beelzebub comes to pick them up a few days later, riding on a massive leviathan, on top of which there is an entire resort that they use for special occasions like this one. There they are introduced one of the Leviathan sisters, Vania, who is in her humanoid form tending to them, while her sister Fatla is in her Leviathan form, transporting them to their destination. The flight is long but very enjoyable for everyone. Once they arrive to the Demon Realm, they are brought to meet the Demon King ahead of the ceremony. They are surprised to learn that the Demon King has the appearance of a very small girl named Pecora. Alcara, being the clumsy elf she is, ends up knocking out the Demon King during their introductions. That ends up getting her arrested and sentenced to execution, while the rest of the group is confined. Azusa prepares a remedy that will wake up the Demon King and proceeds to sneak out of her confinement. Blasting her way through the demon guards, she arrives to Pecora's chambers. Before she can administer the remedy, Pecora reveals that she is already awake. To prove her innocence in the matter, Pecora demands a duel with Azusa. As her whole family is on the line, Azusa does not hold back in the duel and ends up breaking Pecora's weapon. Pecora is impressed by Azusa's strength and decides to become her little sister, telling her how she always wanted a stronger and commanding big sister. With that revelation, Azusa orders her to release her family and forgive Alcara, which she does. The awards ceremony for the Medals of Honor begins the next day. There, Azusa gets the medal in the Peace category. 2 more medals of the same category are awarded to Leica and Flatort to ensure that the established truce will last. In addition to that, Flatort is forced to submit to Azusa, which she reluctantly does. On the way back to Azusa's home, Flatort explains to Azusa how she intends to dedicate her life to her and obey her every command. But Azusa gives her a command to live her own life freely. Flatort is touched by Azusa's words and begins to see her as a motherly figure. Flatort and Leica are constantly arguing because they have not eaten any fresh meat in a while. Just as Azusa is wondering what to do about it, the Adventurers Guild notifies her about an outbreak of wild boars in a nearby forest. Considering she can get a lot of fresh meat from them, Azusa accepts the job. Together with Leica, Flatort, and Rosalia, they head out to hunt the boars. The hunt is very fruitful, and they end up with more meat than they hoped for. A rumor reaches Azusa about the Witch of the Highlands traveling between the towns and healing people in need. Considering she knows it is not her but an imposter, she decides to track down the false witch. It does not take long to find her, and after they capture her, they learn that she is in fact a witch named Ino. While her skills are far from Azusa's, she hopes to become famous, and that is why she pretended to be Azusa. Ino shows Azusa her mandragora pills, a medicine she developed that helps with all sorts of health issues. Azusa convinces her to try and market her product in order to become famous instead of pretending to be someone else. Ino listens, and her medicine turns out to be a big hit among the people. One morning, Falfa becomes an actual slime apparently stuck in that form. Not knowing what to do, Azusa summons Beelzebub to help her out. Beelzebub does not know what to do either, but she knows of an intelligent slime that might help them. So together with Beelzebub, they venture to find the intelligent slime. Once they locate it, the intelligent slime tells them they need to seek out the magical slime in another place. The journey continues, and they find the magical slime. From her, they learn about transformation magic, but that is not useful for changing Falfa's shape back permanently. So she directs them to find the fighter slime who mastered how to transform her body without using magic for it. The fighter slime is participating in a tournament, and in order to convince her to help them, Beelzebub and Azusa sign up as well. Beelzebub ends up facing against the fighter slime, defeating her with ease. But it turns out that Beelzebub really wanted to face against Azusa again, to settle the score from their first battle. Azusa humors her and they fight it out in the finals. Since it is a martial arts tournament, they are not allowed to use any magic. But even so, Azusa is clearly stronger and defeats Beelzebub in the end. The fighter slime teaches Falfa how to turn back into the human form, and everyone is celebrating her return. Beelzebub is coerced into taking the fighting slime as her apprentice just in case they need her knowledge again in the future. While visiting a village, Azusa and her extended family spot a poster saying how a famous minstrel named Shifanoya is going to perform. Thus, they decide to check out the show. The performance is very loud and wild, turning pretty much everyone away. But before they leave, the girl who is performing faints. Azusa brings her home to make sure she is okay and feed her. Shifanoya is grateful and gives them her true name, Cuckoo, telling them that she is going to give up on music since it is not working out for her. Azusa is determined to give her a hand until she can stand on her feet again, allowing her to live with the rest of her family while she practices her music, just so she keeps aiming for her dream and not giving up on what she loves. It turns out that Flatort is well versed with music, knowing a lot about minstrels and her personal styles. She decides to tutor Cuckoo, giving her a hand in developing her style. Time passes, and eventually Cuckoo is ready to make her new debut. As it happens, Beelzebub comes by to hang out and hears Cuckoo's new song. Impressed by her performance, she gives her an offer to perform at the biggest demon music event. Once the festival is upon her, Cuckoo feels quite nervous, but everyone is there to support her and cheer her on. Her performance captivates the audience and becomes a huge success, landing her invitations to perform at many different venues and events. Cuckoo is overwhelmed and happy with how everything turned out, thanking everyone for helping her. Before she leaves, Flatort gives her one final performance, letting her know that she should never give up on her dreams. After eating some grilled mushrooms prepared by Halkara, Azusa is shrunk back into a childlike appearance. Everyone starts doting on her because she is just so adorable, much to her displeasure. Halkara doesn't manage to find a cure for Azusa's condition, so Azusa once again summons Beelzebub. After Beelzebub is done treating her like a child, they travel to the Demon King's castle in order to learn more about a potential cure. While at the castle, Pecora finds out about Azusa's condition and takes her turn coddling her. Azusa keeps insisting that she wants to return to her original form, and Pecora tells her about the World Tree. The World Tree is a massive dungeon consisting of 108 floors. Apparently, on top of the World Tree, there is an amazing pharmacist who can cure anything. And so Azusa, Fatla, and Vania venture to the World Tree. Azusa learns that the two sisters were here once before with their entire family, so this trip is very nostalgic for them. Upon arriving, it becomes apparent that the entire World Tree is turned into a tourist attraction, with some of the massive dungeons inside turned into shops, spas, and inns, as well as an elevator service that brings them further up, allowing them to avoid the entire labyrinth aspect of the floors. Only the final few floors are actual dungeons filled with dangerous monsters, but those prove to be no challenge for the trio. Upon reaching the top, they learn that the medicine they were looking for is in fact the same medicine that Azusa already has back home. Namely, the Mandragora pills she got from Ino. Returning to the Demon King's castle, Azusa eats one of the pills and turns back to her original size, reprimanding Pecora for playing a prank on her. The time has come for Flata's yearly festival. Since Azusa did not want the hassle of being involved with it in the past, she always made sure not to participate. Noticing that her new family would like to participate in the festivities, she changes her mind for this year and decides to open a cafe for a day at her place. Azusa makes arrangements for everyone to have made uniforms, and together they plan the menu for the cafe. On the opening day, it proves to be extremely popular. They get overwhelmed by all the customers that they have to service, but luckily for them, the help arrives. Ino shows up as well, handing out free samples of her products to people waiting in line, while Cuckoo performs live music for them. The one-day cafe turns out to be a massive success and everyone has a great time. After closing up, Azusa thanks everyone for their hard work and goes out for a short stroll. She thinks about everyone who joined her all of a sudden, how her household grew after 300 years of it just being her by herself. And she is very happy this way, hoping she will get to live peacefully with everyone like this in the future as well. Hey, thank you for staying all the way till the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It takes only a second, but it means everything to us. Have a great day and see you in the next video.